Muse, sing to me if you must, for now Namu's waters are dead and done. The oceans, once primeval full, have faced our evil, lost libations to a people surrounded by this, missing the myth. The stories of ancient kings and divine dealt things that are singing somewhere, still and quiet. In this darkening age of electric lights, newspaper frights, our memory grieves for all that it has lost, laments its sorry state and outcast ways to better pass these humdrum days of commuter trains and left-hand lanes that we use to get away. Never getting far, just enough to spend a little time with the ones we love. And we look for gods here. A metal-made, oil-slick, plastic-armed creature that we may worship with weapons. We forgot that we're all the same, and let this creature dement our brains into thinking we are other if we have foreign names. That is not the story I want to let play anymore. Stick a gun in a child's hand, and his prayers may turn to bullets. He may grow up, may find his feet treading waters far from a home that now is an exit wound upon his flesh. His light may look like the flashing epilepsy of a war-ripped realm that ripples through the street lamp streets of cities. Make him our fallen angel, oil-stained blood on hands calloused before they could crawl. Dear saint, let bombs do what hands cannot. Let them judge on scales tipped toward a whitewashed western sun that never sets. This boy, I will call him Gilgamesh. Blessed by gods above, this boy will be no body on this earth, except to those who stood by and watched his birth. Our story starts in the spring midday sun. Gilgamesh is born and his mother sweats, and his father waits in another room. He is born at Nauruz, new life forcing his way out of his mother's womb. He was born too soon, the doctors said. But in spite of it all, he is strong, healthy. Crawling and crying, he does what children do best. He will test his mother's patience for a few years, as he learns to suck and scream. Then crying will turn to teething, teeth will turn to words and steps and deep breaths as he takes his first walk. So proud he can run, and he can go to school. Come home late to irate family, spend his days wishing things could stay the same. He's even changed his name. It's Gilga now. He has the power to change himself and the world and watch his future unfurl. What a man he will be. Now years pass like this. So let me fast forward to him as a young man, standing in the mountain pass. His close friend is by his side, breathing in the changing winds a little hotter, a little quicker. You might think it fitting when you consider the sense of war. Now he's been planning this day for some time now, figuring out how to say the wrong words at the right time. He will turn to his friend now. Look at him. Quite simply say, I'm sorry. I cannot stay here anymore. When the price of this war rests on my family, I've got to fight no matter what the cost. I'll die if I've got to. But I've got to go too. And then, my friend, I'll come home to you. He tells no lie. He has very little choice, but he misses one tiny thing out. That little thought inside his mind that he shouldn't go, not because of fear. He's not scared of death. But whether or not he can leave his friend behind, Enkidu has been by his side longer than he can remember. He could tell you how fast his hair grows, how he was always late for school. They would laugh in the cool summer mornings, dance in the winter nights, and when they were younger, they would sit in this spot here and look at the view. Look at the mountains and the dew on grass, and all the past seemed to stop as they would play. And either way they were side by side. Enkidu's eyes upon him always warmed his soul. And although he's never said it, he's always wanted more, but he's not sure what that means, and it tears him up inside. Heart divided by the mind brings self-loathing. Fear of misunderstandings, he has started to pull away from those he loves. Too scared to not be the man his father once was. And what this means is that Gilga feels alone because of a family he fears won't accept it, his love, given by the gods above. He will pull away and say he doesn't love him. Enkidu is a softly spoken saint that paints the sunrise as they talk. He's always loved art. Always wanted to be a part of that world where paint paves the way to the days of new creation. The glints of gold on ground. The skies turned upside down. The world could be born black-brown, bits of both, but doesn't matter, because under his brush, new colours come. Enkidu, you are a rare boy. He finds the joy in the rough corners and sloppy borders. Boy, you better go places, 'cause this boy has a gift for life. But this boy was born in a country at strife. Now he wants to say, don't go. Stay here with me, I love you, and I want to be with you for all my days. But same as his friend, he doubts the world. You sitting here right now may think this is strange, but remember, we talk of a different age, and a different land, and different rules for the love of man. I know this is wrong, but it is sadly true. They cannot be together when you gods forbid them to. So he says, I'll come and fight too. Gilga is alarmed now. He says you can't, but he says it's too late, you can't change my mind. This is my country too, and I'm not leaving you to face that alone. The scent of war we smelled before is a lot stronger now. At last they embrace and agree, and go home to tell their families they're not staying anymore. They're off to war to fight. These teething boys with the light still in their eyes, and the memories of before school sunrise. You two boys, you are both loved. Don't doubt that. Never doubt that love has led you two together. Whatever may come, your love is real, healing your body and your mind. Your touch makes him tremble, and it makes you shy. And it makes you both want to scream and scream till the night falls, and the weather cools, and skins heat up, rubbed against skin, making your mind give in. And forget whatever's left behind, your bodies are entwined now. The world is not fair, not just, not able to do what it must to let everyone live for themselves, and your love is not wrong, and your love is not new. And your love is not something that others can judge or proclaim to be sin or giving in to temptation. No sodomite nation, no, it is love. And I will challenge anyone who says that that is not enough. Well, our story moves on as it must. They are in the eye of the storm now. Gilga is no simple boy, he knew what war meant, but still even he could not see. It would not be like those stories of old. Battle-born warriors, part god, part man, safe from harm with armoured skin, that the stories say bring him glory. Where are the god-men to fight with avenging hero light? Each hurt a trial, each win a sign of the saviour within. He has been in this war now for 7 years. They passed in timeless space, circled round to occupy his time, bullet-black bodies born each day to resurrect again the blessings brought by bigger bombs. So don't stop now, don't stop, son, because this is what a war must cost before a war can be done. You never thought you would see such horror. Dead man walking, dead man crying. Dead boy living till the night kills him. Dead boy brought back to the world of ashes. Smoke-filled air, chemical smells for the lungs to breathe in. AK-47s for the eyes to sink in. He came here to fight, and fought he has. Hard and long, no longer knows right from wrong. Would you fight in a war? It sounds a simple question, doesn't it, to ask? Black and white, fight or don't fight. Kill or don't kill or be killed. Is killing wrong? Is that a song we will question, or let its tune corrupt our verse till we are tense and raging? Aging too soon for our youth to lead, not heeding the warnings our parents made, to keep ourselves safe from harm. Would you fight in a war? Would you find glory in the crying of boys? And others' desperate stares backed into corners with guns that redraw borderlines in modern times. Each bullet can make a mark on a map that he wages war against. Hurt those who stole the oil. Bring the rains and wrath of so-called backward ways. You are not fighting the same game, I'm sorry to say. This is what revolution means. No glory, please. No martyred fight. Just the desperate tones of those with no choice other than fight. So would you fight in a war? After what seems too long fighting away, Gilga has returned back to the camp. Enkidu is sitting, sketching a little picture of the sunset. Black tea in one hand, paintbrush in the other, deep in thought. Though you can see the war has aged him, there's still that sweet Saint boy behind the lines, willing to break forth and dance away the night. He looks up, sees Gilga there, sighs, says, I see what's on your mind. No, you don't. Yes, I do. You want to go home. So do I, but don't look like that Gilga, it'll bring tears to my eyes. So Gilga smiles and holds his friend's eye. Together they clasp each other through the worst of the night. 7 hours later, the commander wakes them with a shout. Wake up, time to get up. Ishtar is a leader, no doubt. Woman fighter, freedom fighter, Ishtar is a queen of this anarchy. Born from love and rage, her name is divine made, to bring shame on the ones full of hate. Goddess of love she is. Goddess of love this war needs. Ishtar tells Enkidu and him, you've got a job to do. It's a favour for me, and I trust you. Go through the forest till you find a village. Hide. Tell me what you see. That place was my home, and it means a lot to me. Bide your time, tread careful, so they pack light, dress warm. March till late, forest in their face now. Hold hands, deep breath, and steps in, till they reach a village. Well, it was but 2 days ago. Stained blood and blades of grass cover the last of these homes. Gods, could you not have stopped this, though? They walk around slow, searching for life. The light of the sun seems out of place, laughing in their face, as if to say it's too late. There are no demons here to fight. Only the dead men hold vigil the night, so they stay till dawn to guide the souls on their way. And they pack up and slip away. As they walk back, they look at each other, wondering why they bothered. Nearing the camp, they contemplate these sad scenes. They wonder what to tell Ishtar about what they have seen, whether they should lie about what has been. Lads, too sudden, too quick for weary eyes, shots fired. In the near distance, stickmen stumble about. Stickmen still walking when their bones give out and they fall, and Gilga sees it all, crystal clear. Dives for cover, yanks Enkidu down, just as the shots fall round. They called it a surprise attack. And it is a surprise indeed to see the devastation these leave. Gilga looks down, turns Enkidu's head round. Eyes wide, small smile. Silly little hairs on his chin spoiled by the bullet that's lodged into his back. Bleeding an oily blood black. A coward's attack. Collateral damage in another savage war, but this time it's his friend that falls. This cannot be, he screams aloud. Sounding from the mountains, his love was always true. And always meant for you, Enkidu. Rare boy, born to pain. Boy should have gone places, 'cause this boy had a gift for life. When death comes, he stays a while, lingers in the corners and sloppy borders. He stays longer when the love is lost. And when the cost is great, death will then too decide the other's fate, to mourn each day as he steals the other's soul away. Ishtar steps out the camp and is watching and hurting. Thinking this is her fault for sending them away, she does not know what to say. Love them both like brothers, she cannot imagine one without the other. And she is hurting too. All she can do is pull him close and let the tears wash away the bullet rains. Remind them both that they still feel. And even here death cannot feel real. Enkidu's body is taken home to his family. And now a part of Gilga dies, rises again in fire, and that shrapnel which I spoke of first builds in hurt and sighs, till he has burned away in sighs. Allow him his anger, understand his rage, for this man will not be the same. And the rest of this war will pass for him in a blaze of godlike fight and fury. Master of his pain, Gilga is broken down and drained. But what can he do? There is no one to blame. Enkidu was his friend, his hope, his love. They went to war together, and death may have pulled them apart, but his heart will belong to him always. When you've been fighting so long, what do you do when it's done? The war waged long, hard, took its toll on countless ones. War is not just the fight, but belongs to those left behind. Sitting at tables, trying to make their morning coffee, trying to get to work, trying to live on this earth. With the knowledge that there's a bigger fight at play, and suddenly your morning coffee doesn't taste the same. When the war ended, Gilga went home for a while. His parents were old already and had died by this time. He never got to see the burial. Missed theirs too. But he went to their grave each day, saw Enkidus as well, marked their graves with flowers and paints. The home he once played in is now a stranger to him. Years of fight has stripped the place of its light, and I'm sorry to say his side was the one that lost. And you know that has a cost, and he knows it too. He needs to leave soon, so small bag packed. Doesn't need much. No friends left to speak of, no family too. He leaves in the dead of night. A man he knows says for a little bit of gold, he'll get him to the border. Here's a ring his mother gave him, and he gives it over unwilling. But in the back of the van they go. Across the desert that has been drunk dry, he is drunk on the sky, and the heady air around spins his head about. It arrives at the border, drops him off, and he walks until he can no further. Guards stop him at every turn, and he ends up in a dreaded place, full to the brim with lost souls that look like him. They called it a jungle. Twist-knotted people too thick for passing, forest full of fears and global affairs have made this place savage. The imprint their map left like scars upon another's back. The claws of a jungle, they say, is burning. And Gilga looks at this. His eyes are tired of the sight of children, lost to the day that's half night, half time to pray. Half-told stories echo around this place, and soar on paper print to whiter skies that mark their cries different to yours and mine. I would call this divine intervention if I thought the gods were paying attention. But sad as this is, we have all made this hell ourselves, and I can only say, I'm sorry. You should never be here. This world that has failed you. If you can make it to my home, I will welcome you. All of you. Each and every one under this sun. Gilga is sweating. Sticky and solid this heat is. It is like wading through sand. The sky starts to thunder rain, but he will not feel it. His skin is soaked through the coat he does not have, the drip-drap of water on a canvas roof with a blanket for a bed and a country for a noose. He should leave, he thinks. Under this cold sky where the bullets come as no surprise, and his friend is gone, and they're never coming back. And he's fucked in the head, and his heart's got a lack that he cannot fill. There is no pill to erase the past that plays on his mind, and he clings to this and scrambles for time. And he's risked an arm and a leg to be here. Seen a few that lost them both. Saw the mothers cry, watching their babies die. The spectres, eating bodies, eating souls. Now our hero leaves his tent. He checks the sky. It stopped raining now, that's a surprise. And he walks through the people that look like him. Glum and sullen and wearing thin, there is still a bit of hope. And kids still do play. But they're fast approaching the grown-up age. And he walks to the canteen and asks for some food. They play it up, and they've tried to cook rice. But not quite right, not like home with its spice and herbs thrown in. And this little axe so small can make a man like him fall. Sitting at this table, spoon in hand. He looks lonely. All of a sudden, there is a tap. A soft hand rests on his shoulder, bold and loving. He turns around, he sees Ishtar smiling. Hair in her dark eyes, she cries to see him like this. Offers him a kiss and a warm embrace, studies his face, takes it in her hands, and together they cry. There is a strength in this, though, please. Do not think they are weak. This is a long time coming. They miss the sunrise on a stone-built city. The bells that chime for prayers night and day, lo asher fresh from the fireplace. They do not mourn for the place, for that'll stand long after the dark has left their eyes and rest is near at hand. They do not mourn for the land. The grass grows green and lush, and spring here is still a sight to see. It is made to be a poem that can catch an evening ray falling where even dead rocks flower. The mornings for black tea and school fights. For the street sellers and market days and traffic jams, the calmness of midday in summer when it's so hot, borders flicker. The little things are the hardest to replace. And find anyone they could tell you the same. That some days a high street will hurt harder than 100 fights. I'm not surprised they started to cry. Tears still fresh in the face, he asks her how she got here. Thought she was dead, thought they'd never meet again. Is this death, he thinks? And he is on the brink of asking if they are, bar few little signs, the evidence is clear. The dead-looked folk and stink of sulphur could all be explained with a little bit of myth, and inside the belly of the beast they could be living. Liver pecked out by khaki crows, photographing eyes trained to avoid their own. She said she got away. And she has a way about her, Ishtar. Strong woman. Goddess of love, she has a heart so big, and she uses it well. Gives it where it's needed and guards it close, and he feels morose when he thinks about the past. But it's all over now. And now they stand. Beautiful for this moment. He loves her and she loves him, and that is enough. I will not write them some fairy tale romance, they do not need it. They love enough. And this love can be real enough without all that. So what do they do then, these two friends? They talk long and hard until they both stop. Mouths silent, minds raging, reminded of their futures. They know they cannot stay here. But how to leave? I wish it were that easy, but they've got trials to go. Ishtar's heard of a man. Way down by the sea where the waves crack skulls on a sandy beach. Ishtar's heard of a man who's got a boat. Small one, plastic one he promises will stay afloat. Ishtar's heard of a man that if you pay him just a little bit more than you've got, he'll ferry you across. Gilga's heard the tales. A Shanabi ferryman, guard of wandering souls, bringer of grave water thrones. There's a risk even talking to him. The lines on this face could guide a man through a deathly place. Could cross waters on a wine-dark sea, could resurrect the souls that swim below. In caverns deep beneath the earth, could peel back the turf, could find a new life. All this man could give. Gilga looks around and makes a choice. He could stay or he could go, but stay in a place where he's lost all hope. Together they pack what little they have and walk down to the sea. Marvel at its waves and paddle in the day's morning light. You could almost forgive them for a little laugh, a giggle here and there, a moment asleep, a gasp of fresh air. Let the care strip away a moment in this time. Let the sea breeze remind them they deserve to be alive. Ushanabi lives in a shack on the seashore. They knock on his door. Hear the creak from within, he's been waiting for them. And when the door opens, he knows why they're there. He's old, this man. You can see it in his eyes, there's a sense of myth around him. Now Ishinabe knows them, he won't tell them why, but he's seen figures like them from another time. Heroes old, stretched across tablet stones. But no time to delay, the winds are fair. They climb in the boat and off they go. Setting sail, they let the salt spray sting their eyes. The oceans scream melodic lullabies and siren cries in their ears. Gilga looks at Ishtar and smiles. He's done well, this one. In spite of it all, he's made his way. What could possibly go wrong now? Well, stories come at cost to those who live them. And I tell you a tale too tall to be a lie. I want it to be. But no words enough to explain what I'm about to say. The sky darkens. In spite of the morning light, the night has dropped over them. The heat more drowning than water that surrounds them, sea stains them, taints their clothes with salt, to ward away the winds that are coming. Faster and faster on winged souls, they were told it was a plastic boat. Keep this in your mind. And the plastic boat soars up to skies on waves so high that the crows can't fly. So they circle instead, surrounding their heads. This is an omen, they are sure of it. And when the skies start to cry, the world should be watching. Gods in chairs above proclaiming they've had enough, they've suffered too long, but the weather's not done. And with no noise or splash or echo at all, the boat overturns. The boat has gone. And they are done. And Ishtar has drowned. I could spin it any way you like, but this is it. Simple mortal threads undone in the brief seconds before she died. Ishtar breathed a sigh. Glad she tried. Glad she didn't die on others' terms, but on her own, and the gods know her and bring her home. Goddess of love she was and is, and she disappears into sea foam. When Gilga opens his eyes, he does not know himself. He awakes on sand. Blistered from the midday sun, the sun looms over him. Violent rays upon him, light enough to blind him back to a blank slate. He sits up and looks around. Dazed, half dead, heart pounding, knowing she is gone. And when it hits him in the heart, he falls apart. How could she have gone and left him here all alone again? Just for you all, to spare you tears. I'll make an exception to the rule. Get him a glass of water and a soft bed, because Gilga will break bread tonight. Now if I could, I'd sound the bells in celebration, but he will get no hero's welcome. But at least he will be safe. Can let his tired bones lie down and rest. At last, after some time, he stands up. Still human, still man, still here, still breathing clear, still talking true, still just like you. Still air around as he stumbles off the beach, through the trees that bloom so still and large. He had forgotten the trees, and the dappling gold through the leaves, and the scent of the sea. It's nice to be reminded sometimes. There is a house some miles away. Gilga stumbles to the door and falls flat on the stone floor. It's a wonderful thing to see how caring humans can be when they set their minds to it. But Napishtim runs out of his house, sees Gilga there, and without so much as a word, he brings him into his home, gives him a glass of water, a cup of sweet black tea. a plate of rice full of spice and herbs to fill his heart and soul, brings him to a bed to sleep on, listens to him talk, gives him love and a stranger's caring hug. Who is this man, Gilga thinks, who listens to him spin this epic tale, failing to catch his name? He asks. And he says, "My name is Udnapishtim. I am my country. I am not their war. I am the grass underfoot on barren rocks. I am the rivers that trickle where a desert once was. I am the gods that the West ignores. I am the start of cities. I am forward. I put pen to paper long ago to try and remind us of the stories untold, the ones we forgot, the ones we used to share, the tales, the stories, the echoes undead. They live and breathe. And without them the people cannot see when they mistake truth for lies and lives for fact. Backed by politicians, they make waves for you and I. So high. Don't think I don't know what you've seen. Come. Break bread at my table while it's still here before you, whilst the floodgates hold and the money still rolls out. The place I live may not stand tomorrow, for the sea levels are rising and the new day is dawning, and that dawn may be a dark one, and that dawn may be a hard one. But that does not mean I'd leave you be. Teach me to be free, be a human me. I'm learning a lot these days too, and I'm afraid of what may be coming. More like you and I than the leaders will let come in. If we're running out of time, I'd like to stop and stay a while, and remind even just a few to break bread and talk true and question why things are not always as they seem. I cannot build an ark to save us. We've been there before, but God's help us, there are more of us than ever before. And if plastic boats can't float on plastic seas, then what are we to do when the others come and the earth is done, and we are left alone to kick ourselves for not saving our home? Well, I can't build an ark to save us, and you try too. But the deaths of those fighting was not enough to regain our trust or sate the bloodlust of billionaires that don't care. How dare they say they do, when all around there are people like me and you? Gilga listens to this and feels all his pain well up inside his veins, looks at the man before him, old and wise, seeming from another time. He wanted a new life, a new reason to start each day, but he sees now, so clear now, that he is here, that old floods will come again and purge the land of men if we are not careful, and if we do not act and stop those with power playing gods up high. The borders must fall, and love must rule, or the ruins of it all will be all that's left. But this is not on him to change alone. At last he can rest, because this man has done more than his best. He will dream tonight of Enkidu's arms and Ishtar's charms, of their love and his mother that gave him love like no other. This brings me to the end of this epic tale, and I have nothing left to say. Only that Gilga stayed with the old man for 7 months, till, strong and healthy, he went on to apply for asylum there, but was told there was no space left, that the country couldn't cope, they'd let too many in, so he was sent back home in the dead of night, and I don't know what happened to him. I'd like to say I do, to make this a happy ending. But our hero has done a disappearing act, so convincing, he may never have lived at all. Gilgamesh was a hero, and blessed by gods above, this man was nobody on this earth, except to those who stood by and watched his birth.